Morning, morning. What up, YouTube Live? How's it going, everybody? All right. This is yours truly, Rama Screen, covering movies, TV, and entertainment. Speaking of TV, I am about to head out back to Los Angeles to cover the press junket or the press roundtable for The Passage. It's gonna be not one-on-one, just roundtable, so it'll be, you know, get in, get out, real quick. Besides, it's raining outside. It's freaking dark, and I know that whenever it rains, the traffic's gonna be really slow on the freeway. So I'm glad that it's just nothing too big of a deal. I'm just gonna go there and then end the interview or the roundtable, and then come back home. Easy peasy. So before I head out, I want to give you my live stream review, my review of last night's new Deadly Class Season 1, Episode 5. Oh, I freaking love this show. Okay, it's a little bit dark in here. Give me a second, okay? Let me turn on the light here. Okay, there you go. How about that? That's a lot better, right? You can see me brighter here. Now, the title of this Season 1, Episode 5 is Saudade? Saudade? Sorry, I'm terrible at pronouncing things, pronouncing names, pronouncing certain vocabularies. But I looked it up. Apparently, it's some kind of Portuguese term meaning melancholia or the longingness for something. Um, so that's the title of this episode. But let's get to the heart of the story here. Oh, before I go any further, just want to let you know with all my episode recap and just with all my TV reviews, this too contains spoilers. So heads up, I will be spilling some spoilers. Um, just a refresher recap. What is appealing about this show is that it's basically like X-Men kind of or Harry Potter. A bunch of kids in a boarding school. Um, but instead of about mastering their mutant powers or mastering their magic wizardry skills, in this one are they are taught to master the deadly art of assassination, and how to kill, how to murder in a stealthy way. And so, but this episode is interesting because it focuses on the five lead stars, plus Chico, and so and these five leads are part of the small circle that apparently Master Lin has around him. So these are the lead characters that we want to follow their journey about, and I'm talking of course with regards to Marcus, Billy, Willie, Maria, and Saya. And so they go on a road trip to Vegas because remember in last week's episode, Billy told Marcus, "We got to kill my dad because my dad, um, who is an asshole, his actions in the past, his owing debt to a bunch of mafias, got me to where I am right now in this deadly class boarding school, whatever. And now he's involved with another mess, another gangster that if he doesn't pay off his debt to them, then my mom and my sibling will pay the price." So last week's episode it ends with that. But what I did not suspect, or what surprised me, is that what I thought was gonna be just a Billy Marcus adventure, road trip to Vegas, because we knew it's gonna be a road trip. Billy himself said, "Let's go on a road trip," so we knew that we were in for a road trip episode. But I did not suspect that the rest of the five leads will follow along. Willie, Saya, and Maria. Apparently, they have formed this little clique of theirs that don't see skin color. In the school, in their school, everything's every there's societies divided by, there's the yakuza, there's the cartel kids, right? There's the white supremacy kids, there's the, of course, the nerds, and there's the punk rockers and the gothics. That's where Billy and Petra hang out in. But these five, they have found something, I guess, in common, that they see beyond or past their color or their group association. They actually connect as friends, and that's that's something endearing. That's something you would say "aw" to, even though this show is pretty adult centric. Um, so they go to Vegas, and guess what happens? Halfway through, oh my god, I'm geeking out because um, they encounter the hippie, the hippie locals, okay, the hippie commune, if you will, and they they try to, of course, they do coke. They Marcus tried to buy acid, but it didn't work. Let me just use present tense. Present tense. Marcus tries to buy acid, but it doesn't work. So then this guy, this hippie, gives them 10 acid, and Willie, Saya, Maria take the acid, right? And then Marcus takes the rest seven. At this time, Billy is busy getting blowjob by one of the hippie girls on the bus, so he never actually gets an acid. But man, Marcus takes seven. Now, let's pause. I want to say that I've done marijuana, but that's probably the only. It's not. I don't even consider it drug. I don't know why, but that's as far as I've gone. I've never tried LSD or acid or anything like that, but I've heard stories about what effects that it does on, or that it has on people. Not just from the movie perspective. Um, but that said, this is why I'm geeking out. Um, Halfway through, the episode turns into a tribute or an homage to one of my favorite Terry Gilliam's movies, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Have you seen that movie, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas? And it stars Johnny Depp, Benicio del Toro, and I believe Tobey Maguire back when he was still a rising star. Um, and it's basically, in a nutshell, Johnny Depp's character, even though he's not named Hunter S. Thompson, but sort of like a tribute to Hunter S. Thompson, this journalist whose book is the basis of that movie, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. His experience is that, and it's just a movie of Depp and Del Toro going on acid trip, man. Psychedelic ride throughout the whole thing. One of the most fun and weirdest movies I've ever seen, and I loved it. If you haven't seen Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, you have got to check it out. Put it on your must-see list right now. Um, and this was before Depp became this, big, huge Jack Sparrow star, and before Benicio del Toro became an Oscar winner, and before Tobey Maguire became Spider-Man. So it's good to watch them in that prism as well. Now, so yeah, dude. So Marcus, Willie, Saya, and Maria in their trip to Vegas, it turns into this whole psychedelic ride, and they become animated and they're seeing things. And I've mentioned to you before that my favorite parts of any show or movie is when they tackle stories about insane asylum or hallucination or dreamscapes, because that's when things get trippy, and that's when the filmmakers and the writers can let their imagination go run wild, and just be balls to the walls, creative, and like, hey, let's put a flying pig or a talking neon clown just for the hell of it, as something, an object, or a person that our character can see, but nobody else can see it. And that's what happens in this episode. Marcus gets the most number of acids, so he gets fucked up the most out of all of them. And man, it's just hilarious through and through. This episode, um, and 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 in this episode also, Chester encounters Marcus. Now, Chester is the guy who fucked that goat in the previous episodes. Apparently, now I haven't read the comic books that this show is based on. I apologize. If you have, let me know if I'm missing out some details here. But as I'm understanding it, Chester shares a past with Marcus from back when they were in the home. I guess with regards to the fire, I suppose that maybe Marcus started, and Chester is one of the victims of it. And now he's back with a vengeance, but apparently he's taking his time, um, maybe to pay that sweet payback. Because he encounters Marcus in the elevator, but he doesn't really do anything to Marcus. He just kind of intimidates him, and then Marcus shows up again at the end. Now, again, spoiler alert, I will be discussing spoilers, okay? In this journey, psychedelic trip to Vegas, they arrived in Vegas, and at one point, Marcus watches Ghostbusters, so he imagines Billy as a floating Slimer. Dude, I'm cracking up watching this episode. I'm cracking up just remembering it. And they finally get to killing Billy's dad. And what I just want to say that because after the dad dies, right, Billy kind of kneels right in front of the body of his dad. And the actor who plays Billy, Liam James, dude, what a phenomenal young actor. In this moment, in this scene, Billy is just bawling, crying, and letting his frustration out. And Liam James, the actor, does it in a way that just breaks your heart. Um, Despite what you may feel about this character Billy, but Liam James, there's something. It doesn't come across his tears, his crying, his agony, it doesn't come across as manufactured. It looks like a guy broken down, and Liam James does it so perfectly. I was blown away by that moment. I know that the Emmys don't recognize shows like Deadly Class, unfortunately, or even The Walking Dead. But in an ideal world, right, in an alternate universe, they would recognize such performance as what Liam James did last night, because that's amazing, man. If you have seen that episode last night, you'll know what I'm talking about. Um, so yeah, the other arc is this, that Chico, turns out Chico follows them from behind. You know, he drives and follows them all the way to Vegas. And Chico, last week, Chico was so evil, man. He pushed that kid so that kid can get killed by the Yakuzas. Man, Chico does everything to make us, the audience, hate him. And he's becoming, by this point, he has become the big bad villain, right? Before Chester does his thing. And so he follows them to Vegas. And here's the thing. I read on the wiki for this comic book Deadly Class that Marcus's girlfriend is Maria. And I read also that, because I haven't read the comic book, so I just read pretty much kind of the footnote, that Maria is the former girlfriend of Chico. And then last night we see the episode of how that happens. Because not only that she's trying to leave Chico with that passport, but last night we see Marcus and Maria almost having sex. And so it's like, oh, so this is the turn. This is when the story is making the turn from Maria former girlfriend of Chico's into Maria, the girlfriend of Marcus. So, by the way, that's a funny scene too, because she asks Marcus, "Have you ever been laid on acid?" And Marcus says, "I've never been laid," and just like that's all, they both get giddy about it. And then Chico comes in, barges in, and of course, by that point on, Chico chases after Marcus, and the fight happens, and Chico beats Marcus up, and it leads them to the alley outside, and the confrontation between among all of them. And at one point, Willie holds the gun to Chico's head, but Willie can't pull the trigger because, as we all know, Willie is a softie. Willie only acts like a gangster, and he doesn't really have the balls to pull the trigger or even murder someone, which is not something negative, which is not a criticism on his character. I'm just saying that is his character. He's not a murderer. Let's just put it that way. And so, but Maria, seeing that Marcus gets beat up by Chico, she uses that fan of hers. That's her weapon of choice, that blade fan, and bam, she slices Chico's throat, and then Chico bleeds to death. And my thoughts about, or my reaction to that is that, wow, good riddance, right? Good riddance. Chico is so bad, man. There's no redeeming value about Chico. When usually maybe other stories or other writers would have their villains have some dimensions about them. Maybe the villains will have some things, or their own family, or some whatever that may be. I can't think of the top of my head right now, but some dimensions that would make us empathize with them. That's not the case with Chico. He's a guy who has embraced that gangster thug life. Like, there's no turning back for him. He's made his choice in life. So unlike the other characters, where the other characters, like Willie, for example, he's not. What is he doing in that deadly class boarding school? He should be like a poet or something. So yeah, good riddance is my first reaction, and my second reaction is like, wow, that early in the game that they kill off Chico, pretty brazen on the writer's part. I mean, usually in other cases or other shows, they would try to milk it, right? They would try to milk it, and they probably would kill off Chico in season 2. Maybe in the beginning or the middle season 2. Or maybe not at all. kind of like The Walking Dead. They never kill Negan. So I guess it's shocking, but it's not something. It's not a put down. It shocks me that they kill off Chico early on, but at the same time, I'm relieved. It's good. That means it's good. That means the show progresses nicely. It moves forward, not in a way that just drags. It actually moves forward. Like, okay, guys, we go from here, we go from there. In the season 1, we're gonna tackle all these arcs. Instead of just like waiting for instead of carrying it over to the second season. By the way, please go watch this show. I want it to be renewed for second season. It's such a great show. It's so fun. You have to give it a shot, guys. And by the way, happy Valentine's. It's interesting to have a Valentine's Day week, watching a TV show like this that's not about Valentine. That's not necessarily about lovey-dovey. The only closest thing to kind of represent what the spirit of Valentine is the fact that by the end of this episode, Marcus and Maria become a thing. That also leads to my next thing on my note here. The whole triangle love, because it's obviously that Saya is jealous. Saya is driving and she's seeing on the mirror that Marcus and Maria are becoming a thing, and I feel for Saya, but at the same time I'm thinking like, Okay, so it's a love triangle, right? Um, and do any of you remember shows out there? Any shows out there that depict love triangle, love triangle, where it's two boys and one woman? I don't know. I'm just what I'm trying to say is like, okay, another case of a girl jealous of a guy who's hooking up with another girl. It'd be kind of nice if it's a gender reversal role kind of thing. It'll be a refreshing change, but that's just my quick side note. But yeah, I feel sad for Saya because by this point Saya thinks that Maria is her best friend, and so it must really hurt Saya the the image of her new best friend hanging out with the guy that she's crushing on. I don't know what that's gonna mean for the team. I call it a team, but it's not. They're not really a team yet. Uh, if this is gonna cause a rift between Saya and Maria, but that is gonna be interesting to see in the subsequent episodes of this season. Um, okay, so summary again before to my last note or my last thought. Just want to say this show is awesome. This episode paying homage to Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is fantastic. Um, by the way, if you don't know who Hunter S. Thompson was, he was a journalist that whose work was called Gonzo journalism. Basically, in a nutshell, it's a different kind of journalism. It's a unique way where the writer also becomes part of the story and immerses himself in the journey of that article or that story of his or hers. And Hunter S. Thompson committed suicide more than a decade ago. May he rest in peace. And Hunter S. Thompson, an image of Hunter S. Thompson shows up in this episode last night. I kid you not. The kids were walking in the casino, right? In the casino floor, and they see Hunter S. Thompson walking past them. And you could tell from that moment, like, okay, that's it. If that's not clear enough, if the psychedelic trip is not clear enough that they're paying tribute to Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, obviously an image or an animated person or somebody looking like Hunter S. Thompson walking by them, that's more than that's more than the evidence that you need right there. um, so what a great show, what a great episode. I hope if you haven't seen it yet, I hope you guys get to check it out. Please give Deadly Class a chance. You will not regret it. My last thought is this. Um, One of you guys left a comment in my last week's review of Deadly Class, saying that, "Hey Rama, I couldn't get into the show because it's just about a bunch of kids pretending to be hard or acting to be hard. You know, a lot, they're behaving like they're hard, when they're not hard." Um, and my response to that is, yeah, that is the appeal of the show. um, Especially with these five lead characters. Again, let me reiterate that characters like Chico and some other characters in the boarding school, they embrace their bad side. They essentially have become hard, right? Hardcore, hard, gangster, whatever you want. Let's just use hard. Whereas these five characters, they do pretend, they do behave like they're hard. When they actually have empathy inside them, and in the case of Willie, he's actually a big softy. Um, so yeah, that is the idea of the characters. That is the idea of the show. The appeal of them. And anytime that any of those five lead characters kill somebody, because they've killed in the duration of this season, you've seen them kill. You've seen them kill people. Anytime that they kill, it is for the purpose of surviving. It is just to survive. It's not for the joy of killing. They don't take pleasure in it. Uh, for example, uh, last week with Saya killing the yakuza that turns out to be one of her cousins. Either either she kills him or he kills her, right? And then she feels very bad after that about killing him. In this one, in this episode, Maria kills Chico. Why? Because Chico's about to kill a freaking Marcus, and she has feeling for Marcus. And you know what? If Chico, after Chico kills Marcus, who would say that he wouldn't kill the rest of the guys there in that alley? He probably would. So it is to survive. And also in the first episode, when when Marcus kills that bully homeless guy, he's a bully. He treats every other homeless there in that neighborhood or community or area. He treats them like shit, and so he kills the guy because the hobo guy, the bully guy, has treated him like shit and treats everyone else like shit. Like he in his mind, it's like if these people, if this area, if I were to survive, I need to get this person out of the equation. And so that's what he does. And so back to my point again, yes, it is about a bunch of kids acting or behaving like they're hard. Um, and but it doesn't take away from the fact that they can get I know. I understand the sexual innuendo when I say this. They can get hard. They can get hardcore um, when they need to, in order to survive, in order to keep themselves alive, or defend their friends, or make sure that that person that he or she kills doesn't hurt anybody else that around them that they care about. So you get what I'm trying to say here? So yes, that is the appeal. That is the idea of the show. So and every episode, there's always something bloody, shocking that happens, not in a procedural way, but in an organic way that fits into the story arcs of these characters. And I love that about the writing on Deadly Class. So again, I hope you guys give it a chance. Please go check it out. It's on every Wednesday night on SYFY. It's produced by the Russo brothers, who gave us those Avengers movies that you love, Avengers Infinity War and the upcoming Avengers Endgame. And I think they also directed Captain America movies as well, Civil War and The Winter Soldier. So go check it out, Deadly Class, every Wednesday night on SYFY. Thank you so much for tuning in on this live stream review of last night's season 1, episode 5, titled Saudade. Saudade. I'm gonna head out now to Los Angeles to do another press junket. Again, guys, subscribe to my channel, press that like button, ring that bell, and if you can help support the Rama Screen channel, please do so at patreon.com/ramascreen. That's